because I know I jumped over a hurdle when it comes to that stuff. I might have been not the funniest. I might not have been the best looking, but I'm about as free as a nigga could be.
There's that conversation about Hollywood picking one black comedian at a time and kind of like push them through. Do you feel that happened in your career? And in conclusion, why didn't we see, and I think you answered this earlier, but why didn't we see Dougie Doug star in a Rush Hour and all these big movies? Why didn't things go to another level for you in your hindsight now?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in personal power and personal responsibility. It didn't go there because I didn't want it to.
Is it more so like you feel free because you were able to kind of leave with your hands clean?
There's a number of reasons. I feel free because I was able to leave with my hands clean, but I was also able to leave with some money. Like that helps, like, okay, look,
you cashed out.
I can't. Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes if you gamble,
I didn't sit at the table like, let it roll. I didn't do that. And then maybe I'm just overly cautious, and that may be just
I think you play it well, man, because it doesn't. It's they be talking about a black man either dead or in jail. Hollywood, it seems like with us, you either lose, you dead, lose it all.
It's true.
You don't hear, hey,
but it's for reasons that, and I was talking to my mother about this, who doesn't even really completely understand what the fuck I'm talking about, like the average person. But it has a lot to do with the more you succeed in a certain way, the more you become estranged from things that are equally as valuable as money. And it's hard to survive like that, And then your options in terms of people who you want to walk with you on this earth, they get real iffy. Because you see some of these cats, God bless them, that marry some of these people who are clearly not for them. For all these, because it's almost like proximity, like, she here and they there, and she look good or whatever. It's nothing like being, a motherfucker that's just like relatively successful, moderately successful, maybe in ways people don't even understand. So you can navigate without being, on the hit list. But once you're on the hit list, it's like people look at you as like, steak and eggs, and that's not, it's not as fantastic as it looks like, so you almost want to like succeed gradually, particularly if you're young. That instamatic sudden wealth syndrome shit and just everything's coming at you and everybody thinks you're the most adorable motherfucker that ever existed.
For that season.
Yeah, for that 5 weeks. I mean, it's a fantastic 5 weeks, but Jesus Christ, it cannot be sustained and shouldn't be sustained. It's like too much of a good thing will kill you. Like, enough, How many orgies does a nigga need? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny when you see some of these cats with the orgies and shit, they be licking their lips and wearing tight shirts and walking around like, my dick is big, And you just kind of like, who got to you? You used to be normal. But they get people massaging the ego.
That's crazy.
They just massaging, and that's not healthy.
Not normal.
It's not normal. I mean, to the point where you're impervious to a real comment that may not be flattering. You fall, you wither when somebody tell you the truth about one, man, nigga, that shirt too tight. What you mean, nigga? How much did how much the shirt cost me? More than your whole outfit. People start getting defensive about shit that's just like,
it's not that deep. Patrice O'Neal had a reference to it. About being in the belly of the beast.
Yes.
It's good to be in that belly.
He would know, because he had eyes wide open. That brother had eyes wide open. And sometimes when you're that unflinching in terms of reality, it could really take you out. I remember talking to Ossie Davis about another legendary comedian, Godfrey Cambridge. You might not know him, or you may. And I was asking him, like, what happened to Godfrey Cambridge? He said, the anger. The anger got him. You know, that's the way we as black men used to understand the dangers. You know, whatever you do, watch out for the anger, or watch out for the this, or watch out for the that. Because that's much more important than who has a private jet. That's much more important than whose woman is more fly than who. It's like you have to survive the success. So you don't just say no to counsel because you're at the top of the mountain. Like that's when you really need real motherfuckers to come and counsel you. You know, people think the counsel is just to get up. The counsel is to stay up, and the counsel is to get out. You got people working at Goldman Sachs that the minute they get an offer, they got an exit strategy. The same thing is true for show business. How you gonna get out?
And no one thinks about that.
They don't think about it.
At least
very few people
peers.
think about it, because getting out is such a horrible, as far as the public is concerned, getting out is such a horrible thing. Or you're washed up. You're because you have to face public scorn. Fuck public scorn. You know, when you're secure, you don't care about
Has
public
people
scorn.
ever like criticize you or try to label you that? Like,
No, nobody ever did that.
Yeah.
I think because of the nature of what I did, I think still resonates. And I think people feel good about it. And I think that's what the average person, especially successive generations, if you're lucky to have a project that resonates over years and years and years, it's almost like you get fresh love. You know, you get to reboot your love, you know. And so I'm just been luxuriating in rebooted love for decades. And I'm grateful for it. I'm not taking it for granted. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing if it can happen to you.
you would get the role of Sanka in Cool Runnings.
Mm-hmm.
It would push you further than projects maybe leading before that.
Mm-hmm. Potentially.
Mm-hmm. Why didn't we see you again starring in like Rush Hour and these big other movies? Why didn't we see that happen? And how would you conclude that?
Yeah, as I was saying, I'm a believer in personal power and personal responsibility. So it didn't happen because I didn't want it to happen. I was just looking for different things at that time, especially after the success of that magnitude. It was almost like poof, like I had a serious epiphany. Like, what do I want with my life? You know, like it was that kind of like spiritual, psychological shift. And it happened quick. And I was upset about it too, because I was like, I'm just about to get the golden goose. Why I gotta have a conscience? Why I gotta, that kind of, it really happened. It was seriously a life-changing experience, because I think I got there and saw what it was and what it wasn't. And I said, what's more important to me is mentorship, finding people to help me gain footing, find a balanced life that's not just about top dog, underdog.
This one on One Moment is presented by Hypers Club. Watch the full interview right now at hypersclub.com by becoming a member.